Hello and a warm welcome to Federal special program Capital Beat. Congress has received a 1700 crore notice from the Income Tax Department just a day after the Delhi High Court dismissed the petitions challenging the tax notices. Now, this fresh notice is for the assessment year 2017 and 18 and 2020 and 2021, and it includes the penalty and the interest. Now, this is a fresh notice. And it has come at a time when the Congress's accounts are already frozen and Congress is struggling for funds. There are also reports that CPI apparently has got a notice for its due worth 11 crores. Now, and that also on a very paltry reason, saying that two of its state units used an old PAN card. Now, what is this income tax row all about? Is the main intention almost like crippling the opposition parties financially so that they cannot contest elections? Jairam Ramesh from Congress yesterday said that it almost tantamounts to tax terrorism. So how does one see this episode of income tax notices being served to Congress and the left, and what is their real intention? We'll try and discuss all of this. Joining me now on the screen, you can see a very special panel with us. We have Sharad Gupta, who's senior editor and political commentator. So thank you so much for joining. We have Girish Joshi, who's a senior editor and political commentator. Thank you so much, Girish. We have TK Rajlakshmi, who's a senior deputy editor from the Frontline. Thank you so much, Rajlakshmi. And I would like to begin with Sharadji. Sharadji, Congress being served a 1700 crore notice, left parties being served 11 crore notice. Now, is this something which you really find unprecedented just on the eve of elections? Because there is no
No,
rule, there is no law which says that, the political parties are supposed to file the returns.
no, but I don't think this is unprecedented. This has already happened before. Don't we remember just before UP elections, assembly elections, the government had denotified currency notes,
Hmm.
taking out entire uh, election funds collected by the opposition parties. So it was an ambush strategy. They had already, BJP had their funds, but it deprived the opposition of. So that is why the US is expressing concern that there is no level playing field. And if you remember, right from TN station to everybody, or everybody in the election commission has been advocating a level playing field. When there is no level playing field, there'll always be lopsided elections, lopsided results also, lopsided contests. So if you have all the funds in the world at your command, and the other person doesn't have even funds to hire a cab or a train ticket, book a train ticket. That's what Rahul Gandhi said. So
Absolutely.
this is something which is just not done, and this is inviting international concern. We are becoming like, I may say, Russia or China, or maybe such countries which make a farce, rather Bangladesh, a farce of elections. So this is something which should not be done, and it should be discouraged. And this is high time the judiciary should intervene, because these are flimsy crowns. Using a old PAN card invites a penalty of 11 crores. And these are the same left parties which refuse to buy a single electoral fund, buy or rather accept a single electoral bond in
Right.
the last 5 years. So, means people who are above board. So this government wants to doesn't wa- does is not allowing a level playing field for the opposition, and that is an area of concern. It's
Right.
not happened for the first time, as I pointed out. It's already
Hmm.
happened in the elections.
Yeah, so you are linking it with demonetization, which happened just before the UP elections. So that was an ambush strategy, as what you say, was being adopted, and it continues in a more aggressive fashion, if I may say so. Girish, how would you really qualify these income tax notices? They are illegal, and Congress leaders have been saying that now they will approach the Supreme Court, since High Court has also dismissed their petition. Now, what would really one say? Because there is no law, political parties have not been filing their returns. And Ajay Markan, when he held the press conference yesterday, he said that the parameters on which Congress has been imposed the penalty, And if you impose the same parameters on BJP will end up paying about 4,600 crore to the income tax department. So it's like a selective gathering of information. Income tax is being selective. They are targeting the opposition, they are targeting the Congress, they are targeting the left, but not the BJP. This is what tax terrorism is all about, is what Ajay Makan said yesterday. Yes, Girish, you'll have to unmute yourself.
As Mr. Gupta said, he's absolutely right. It was a very well planned. When you are going to war and you are going to attack, your ammunitions are all in place and everything strategically moved out. So they did an experiment, but there was some misfortune in that case also. They anticipated what Congress used to regularly say, that around 4.5 lakh crore rupees which are unaccounted, that is black money. So their estimate, as they were very fast in printing the notes, it was very clear game that they had said for them that this 4.5 lakh crore rupees will automatically be in the treasury and that can be used. But that unfortunately misfired. Now, when you come to present situation, is it they have already tied this. They know this is bad in law. If they go to court, it will definitely be struck down. But this is a time buying theory. Let them get worried, let them get tense. Now, ultimately, see, as Mr. Yadav in MP has started a campaign that he goes to every individual and tells 10 rupiya do or vote bhi dena, because, we don't have money. So they are gathering the storm by sentimental votes. And I think there's a lot of hue and cry. Everybody is doing that. Now, first thing, if you see, they had very well planned. I think possibly opposition was never ready for all these dirty games, probably. So they did not understand. December 21 also, there was a circular where, income tax, TDS returns and everything, they had changed the law. And anything above 1 lakh rupees, even the refund, that is now missing in this circular, that it will have a priority. Senior citizens will have priority. But the recent circular of March, they have removed that 1 lakh TDS. So they don't want to pay back the money to the people. They want to have money with themselves. And then they've added one more clause, that is VIP/PMO. So if you have refunds, priority refunds, you will have to get yourself classified as VIP through PMO recommendation. Now, what is this? This is absolutely a clear official getting commission agent, and because they are not going to deliver dinner free, they would have charged something and then given you a recommendation letter for the refund. So this they have been doing, as we being in Gujarat, we very well know, they are very clear in their mind that we are not going to follow the law of the land, and let come may anything be, whatever who wants to do, let them do. They have already managed the courts, they have managed the administration. There is the people who did not surrender, they are either in jail or they are already lost. So they have very well planned. From Gujarat, they made this model that now they can do and apply. And that is what they are doing in all over India. But unfortunately, there were a lot of other things which they probably did not estimate that this is going to go wrong. And the biggest thing that stuck them was the Supreme Court. See, as far as last 7 years, if you see, even the Supreme Court was managed, everything was going well, all the judgments were delivered as per their wish. But when it comes to morality and when they understood, you see, the whole planning of electoral bonds were very, very secured way. Had this Chandrachud Sahab not asked them to reveal all the documents, you would never known. And see the trick that they have played. I was talking to some RBI retired officers. They told that there was no condition of mentioning alphanumerical number there. But they wanted this because in future they can blackmail somebody or cross-check and tell him that no, this is here, we have got the proof. Otherwise, it was signed that they would maintain the privacy of every people. So they were trying to fight for that. But when it comes to RTI, when he said, the Supreme Court says that transparency, the citizen of India has all the right to know what is happening because this is their money. Now again the question comes that they printed the bonds. Who is going to? We are bearing the cost of 350 crores of the bond also. So they are exonerated from all the offenses that they make. And obviously now Congress, they had not estimated that what will be the response of the Padyatra that Rahul Gandhi took up. What was the response? There was anti-incumbency. And ultimately now they find that the people are running behind them and they possibly may not vote for them. So this is the last resort they adopted, that let us harass everybody. You see, they have even ED has issued notice to Kerala's CM on a money laundering case. Because CBI, as you know, many states have passed a bill that CBI cannot enter the state without the permission of the parliament. So now only instrument that they have is ED. And PMLA Act, they already very smartly had amended before that there won't be bail for that. So they are trying their best. Now it is a fight. Now you have to respond. The war is on. Now it is opposition to decide that what are their strategies and how they are going to fight back.
Absolutely. But before we start talking about the options now which will be available with the opposition, will it backfire for BJP? But I want to come to you with one question, Raj Lakshmi, and that is the conduct of the Income Tax Department, conduct of the ED, conduct of the CBI. Rahul Gandhi's tweet again, which became viral yesterday, that, whenever the government changes, we'll take action and strictest of actions against those people who've tried to murder the democracy. And he said that no one will be spared. And that tweet became quite viral along with his video clip. So, what would really say, I mean, the conscience of the ED officers, conscience of the income tax officers, knowing that, it's not laid out in the law, but even then, if they're trying to take a risk, are these officers from the enforcement agencies really inviting trouble for themselves? Because who knows, if the government changes, what is the kind of music they'll have to face then?
Well, there's too much pressure on these institutions, and they are being weaponized against the opposition, as we have seen in a series of events, whether it be sort of in the form of raids, whether it be in the form of seizures, whether it be in the form of attacking or rather closing down, you know. Uh, uh, Closing down, media houses, which have been critical of the government. For instance, NewsClick, for instance. I'm just saying that this extends across, spectrum. It's not, of course, now it's become far more blatant and obvious. I mean, by sort of freezing the accounts, of the principal opposition party, and then income tax, and then fines, as well as notices. For instance, the left parties, as Sharad said, they were the only ones who did not, in fact, apply for any of the electoral bonds. They in fact, the CPM, went to court. It was one of the petitioners, apart from Common Cause and ADR, to challenge the EBS scheme. So here you have one party which has the entire comfort, of none of these investigative agencies going after it. I mean, it's really strange that there are no income tax violations against the BJP or its allies. I mean, it can't be a coincidence. I mean, it's amazing that they're absolutely scrupulous, to assume that they're absolutely scrupulous, that they have followed the rule of the rule book, to its entirety. It's a little odd, and besides, the entire frivolousness with which these institutions are being used. For instance, an outdated PAN card, or for instance, in the case of the CPM, I mean, apparently they did not, I think, maintain or disclose some bank account details. Okay, now, but all those expenditures are part of are part of the financial statements, which have been submitted to the IT department. So, and then it's sub judice also, because it was challenged in court. They have been sort of harassing the CPM since 2022, and then so I think that I think it's a concerted attempt to choke whatever little uh, funding or source of funds that these parties might have to spend on these elections, because it's really sad, because these parties do not have the backing of big corporates and big industry groups
Yes.
like the other parties have. And here, they in fact entirely sort of rely on the chanda or whatever given by the cadre, which happens to be, I think, the working class, essentially. you know and if there's some people, perhaps sections of the middle class, who want to donate, etc., it's entirely sort of voluntary. But then but then you are there, in fact, campaign, their outreach to the people gets absolutely limited like this, and so this whole issue, the level playing field that was mentioned, gets skewed in favor of one particular party. So it's so blatant, Nilu, sending chief ministers to jail, just on the eve of elections. I mean, I'm just wondering, what is the election commission doing here? I mean, here
Exactly.
it is. This is subverting the electoral, the the process itself, or in fact, the democracy itself, for that matter, because all
Absolutely.
we'll have are these parties, fighting it out in court, or rather, trying to sort of salvage um, whatever they can from the damage that has been inflicted on them in this form, because ultimately, this perception that the opposition is corrupt, okay, and that we are the only ones who can again, lead the country, is been sort of considerately made in all these devious forms. And I think the people of this country are, I think, wise enough to know as to why these agencies have been used on the eve of elections, and in this manner, in particular, and especially, targeting the opposition parties one after the other. So since there is
Absolutely.
a yeah, since the pattern entirely, yeah.
Right. But there should be one clarification for the viewers also who are watching this discussion. Charity, I'll ask you that is the government really permitted when the model code of conduct is in place? Can the government use the enforcement agencies to target the opposition parties in a manner like what BJP is doing, serving them notices, raiding them? What does the law say really?
The law doesn't stop the government to come to a grinding halt. The governance has to be there. The government has to continue. There is nothing like caretaker government. But when code of conduct is there, the government is guided by the election commission. So in case election commission feels that the level playing field is being altered, it can always tell the government or enforcement agencies to put a stop. So if election commission is not doing its duty, so we cannot blame the government, because the election commission is empowered enough to take any decision, to shift a bureaucrat, to even remove a say politician who is creating some problem in a constituency. It can, well, the entire government is in hands of the election commission, but it's election commission which has to take a decision. And see what the Supreme Court said. It asked the election commission in Arun Goel's case, are you going to issue a notice of model code of conduct violation in case the prime minister who has appointed you commits an offense? Can you question your appointing authority? And that is what is happening.
Exactly.
We need somebody like TN Session, because election commission has all the powers. We need somebody to execute those powers in a just way.
No, but the point is, you made an important point that if the appointing authority is the government themselves, so how will election commission, really break its silence over all whatever is being done right now? But coming back to that question of what are the alternatives before the opposition, Rajlakshmi, if I may come to you, what can the opposition really do other than maybe sitting back or going to the people, telling them, as what Girish just pointed out, that there's a leader in Gujarat who's going around saying that you have to donate us 10 rupees and also vote for us. So is this a kind of campaign which now the opposition will be taking on? Or there are other options available, though tomorrow there is a Maha rally in Delhi's Ramlila Maidan, and they will try and rake up this rhetoric of how the democracy is being murdered. But apart from that, as and when the campaign now builds up, what are the options before the opposition really?
See, it's a political fight ultimately, Nilu. It can be fought, legally, but yes, it will take time, etc. It's got its own, long drawn process when you take these things legally to challenge the income tax, to go, to the appellate tribunal, and then maybe to a higher court, etc., etc. But ultimately, it has to be fought, politically. And I think the opposition parties also realize this, and that is why this rally is taking place tomorrow, because I recall, for instance, the Congress as well as the left parties used to be quite critical of the Aam Aadmi Party at some point, but but now the equations have completely changed, because they all sort of have realized that there is a need to come together on some, I think, fundamental issues, and it's also, maybe it's about saving the constitution, or about saving the very existence of democracy. So here you have all these parties who've come together. I mean, parties who do not, who have been very critical, as I said, of each other in the past, and who have been also sort of deeply skeptical of each other. But here they have come together, because sending Mr. Kejriwal to jail, and prior to that, Mr. Soren to jail, I mean, this has sent a signal that nobody is untouchable for this ruling party at the center, because for I think whatever little I think political or electoral gains it is going to do it is going to stoop to I think any level, whether there's evidence or not, whether it's a whether it's a question of just removing the principal players from the electoral process, and of course they will use the rule of law. They will use all these agencies which are under its control, and they do not seem to have any kind of an autonomy. I mean, for instance, what is the point of finance secretaries, after they retire, etc., they write books and then they're critical of the government. It's odd. I mean, I think the officers should speak up, and they should take a stand. I think even those who are sitting in government. But yes, it's difficult for them. I mean, these sort of pressures are sort of understood, and since so there, I think autonomy, whatever little they have, all these institutions, their autonomy is being sort of eroded. And for instance, if Rahul Gandhi said yes, that they will not be allowed to be misused in this form if there's a change of government, etc. I think it makes sense. It should be at least, because I think that doesn't inspire faith in the people, because everybody will know that people who are in power can use all these instruments to their advantage. If they can, if they can put opposition parties in such a situation. Aam aadmi ka kya? It's like, what of the ordinary man, man or woman, right? So they don't stand a chance really here. So
Right.
yeah, so it's not really a good thing that's happening, ultimately. But it has to be fought politically, and it has to be fought democratically, with all the I think democratic instruments of protest, and dissent, yes, and of course law is also there, the course of to take the route of law. Yeah.
Right. So, Girish, the question is that this income tax row and the way Modi government is trying to cripple the funds of the opposition, they're trying to disrobe them of whatever resources are at their hands so that they are not able to contest the elections. Uh, is this controversy really going to strengthen the BJP on the ground politically? Or you see that it will backfire for BJP, because the perception which ultimately goes out is that Modi is just having his way all over and not letting the opposition breathe. But at the same time, he keeps saying that India is a mother of democracy.
The foreign agencies, like they have already declared it our as being a flowing democracy. It's no more an electoral democracy. And second thing, what Raj Lakshmi said, I'll just give some addition to that. Now very smartly, I was talking to some Congress guys. They said that people 80% who are taking free ration, they actually don't understand what is income tax, what is the freezing of accounts. So first they have said is that they have closed our account. We don't have money, so we are buying. Now very smartly, they immediately come with the second story that you people are dying in a younger age after corona. That is because that man who made the medicine was 6 times rejected, but government took money and approved, and those vaccines are now killing you. This is going very wild now. National media may not report, but when then local papers, even I was talking to somebody in Chennai or Kerala, these small messages are now spreading like a wildfire. That is true, because people are dying for unknown reasons and at a very younger age. So now this is a cause of worry, and now they have just added to that, telling that they are dying because that vaccine, which was not qualified for 6 times, it was rejected. Suddenly, after he gave the bonds, and he was classified for that. So obviously, it has not been cleared by the medical fraternity, and there is something wrong. So these two messages are going very early. So they would definitely downplay the free ration that they are getting, which was given. I think this time Congress has silently adopted very good strategies, and that will definitely work.
All right. So let me take one quick concluding comment from Sharaji. And this is a little hypothetical. And I'm just thinking of a scenario that okay, the election, supposing if they are won by BJP, we do not know what the election results will be. But supposing if in all likelihood BJP wins the elections, but later on the political parties, the opposition parties who've gone to the court and they win the case, saying that, there was injustice done to them, what will happen? What can be the sequel of this whole thing, of how the BJP government murdered the democracy? And I'm just thinking of that hypothetical situation. So, will the 2024 elections be recalled? Will it get cancelled? What is going to what's the scenario which the country would face then? That's just a likelihood.
It never happens like that. If a person is disqualified, he challenges his disqualification in the court, and his tenure ends, and there are elections. And even if he wins from the court, it can't be reinstated. So it can't happen like that. Means if the elections are over, they are held, and new government, people have elected a new government, through whatever ways it has been elected. If Supreme Court or Election Commission have upheld the elections, so they cannot be nullified on any ground unless they are, because it is the Election Commission which oversees the process. Once it has notified the elections, unless there's some evidence of unfair play or something which can be upheld by the rule of law, in the rule of law. But the entire election process cannot be just scrapped like that. So it will be for posterity's sake. It will be registered in the history that the government election was contested like that and won like that, if they are actually won.
One more question that quickly comes to my mind, Raj Lakshmi. People keep saying that, it's a height of desperation. Modi government is in a desperate state. They are scared of what's going to happen in elections. So do you see this, this crippling of the financial crippling of the opposition parties, income tax notice row, do you see this as a sign of desperation, or Modi government is confident and doing it deliberately so that the opposition cannot raise its head any further?
No, I think that the arrest. I think that the arrest of Mr. Kejriwal was the litmus test in that sense, which showed that that maybe the ruling party at the center, things are not really going down extremely well with it, and also the fact that the India alliance has not really got off the ground. For instance, it's there now. It's not something notional. That also has taken off. That idea has taken off. Whether it's in a fledgling, yes, it is in a fledgling state, but I think there are concrete state alliances which have been now seat alliances which have been worked out in several states. Whether, it may be incidental, it may be a little bit perhaps not as significant as others would like it to be, but I think it's there. It's a reality now. The India Alliance is a reality, and I think it is this coming together of all the opposition parties has, I think, flustered the
BJP.
BJP a little bit. And also the fact that it's not been able to cobble together alliances with its in several
With its
states.
own allies, yes.
So all those things have an impact, and therefore, yes, fall back on your agencies to do to do the last mile dirty work, perhaps.
Right.
Let's
All right. So
assume
yeah.
yeah.
So, I was just prompted by questions after questions, though it was my last round of questions. So now I would again come back for the concluding comment to Girish, that what Raj Lakshmi just said, that, it looks like Modi government is scared. They look like on a back foot. But how much can the India alliance, after Kejriwal's arrest and all what has happened, as far as the income tax notices are concerned, financial crippling of the Congress party, how much can they capitalize out of this situation? And are they in a position to really win from here onwards so that they can put BJP really on the back foot politically?
Nilu, first thing, if we are looking something behind the stage, I am really worried that all these matters will definitely affect. But the bigger thing happening is, as we have started understanding from Gujarat, all those old guards, which were ridiculously removed, have become suddenly active on the background. And this is going to damage, and this is what the main cause of harassment or tension with these people is. You see here, all the ex-CMs, they have refused for standing, and then they are instigating the people for a smaller matter to come up. So Gujarat literally on 50% of their seats, where they're talking of 26, half of the seats they're not able to nominate the proper person. Either they have to withdraw, which never happened in the history. Same thing is happening in UP. Same thing in Madhya Pradesh. These old guards are definitely going to damage. Their silence had always been skeptical. And now the originality you come to know. So UP is also going to be big trouble. So we will have to watch something happening behind the stage rather than this subject is definitely going to affect. But if those silent guys instigate people that what they are saying is right, is definitely going to damage BJP on a very large scale.
Of course. So these silent people could become the movers and shakers, and who knows, they might change the political landscape totally. But for now, Congress has thought of approaching the Supreme Court. I think they will be moving the Supreme Court on Monday, now when the court opens up. Tomorrow, there is a Maha rally in Delhi's Ram Leela Maidan, and they will come up with a strong, cogent narrative against the income tax notices, against Kejriwal's arrest, against Hemant Soren's arrest. And just to give you a little update, Hemant Soren's wife is already in Delhi. Champai Soren is already there. So they're all going to be together on the stage for that big Maha rally tomorrow. So we'll have to wait and watch how this entire campaign now manifests. Thank you so much, Rajlakshmi, Girishji, Sharad. Thank you so much for joining. And one appeal to the viewers who are watching this discussion, subscribe to our channel, send us your feedback, and stay tuned to The Federal. Thank you.
Subscribe to The Federal's YouTube page for more news and updates.